unprecedented prosperity. The country is connected coast to coast by rail. Kerosene lamps brighten the night. And steel is being used to build structures no one could have imagined even a decade earlier. Overseeing much of the growth are Pittsburgh steel magnates Andrew Carnegie and Henry Frick. Ideal partners, together they've driven Carnegie Steel to massive profits. To celebrate, they've erected the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club.
Cheers.
Cheers. A lakefront, members-only playground. But construction has weakened the dam surrounding the lake at South Fork, posing an imminent threat to the lives of tens of thousands of people in the valley below. Memorial Day breaks in Johnstown as ominous clouds roll in. South Fork, lake levels are rising. At an inch every 10 minutes. The message reads, South Fork Dam liable to break. Notify the people to prepare for the worst. The Johnstown Telegraph Office has seen the same warning many times before. They ignore it. 2,000 people lie dead. One in 3 are so mutilated they can't even be identified. 1,600 homes are destroyed, and over 4 square miles of the town are completely leveled. The Johnstown flood is the worst man-made disaster in the United States prior to 9/11. Bodies will be found for years to come, some as far away as Cincinnati, 350 miles from Johnstown. Volunteers come from across the country to assist in the recovery. The flood is the first major peacetime relief effort of the recently formed American Red Cross. As outrage over the flood grows, the public looks for someone to blame. Most of that blame falls on the members of the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club. But the members deny responsibility. Lawsuits are filed, but they're ultimately unsuccessful. In the eyes of an angry public, the South Fork members, including Henry Frick, have gotten away with murder. The incident forever changes Andrew Carnegie, who feels a sense of responsibility for the disaster, unlike many of his fellow club members. He soon drops out of South Fork and begins a campaign to rebuild his damaged image.
When your brand becomes so big that you become the name, you become the face behind the brand, it's difficult. There's also a great deal of responsibility and risk, and you have to be very, very careful.
Carnegie donates millions to help rebuild Johnstown.
Carnegie gave money to thousands of libraries, millions and millions of dollars. Carnegie wanted to be remembered for the good he had done.
Carnegie begins building public monuments across the country, and soon, a grand music venue in Manhattan becomes his passion. Carnegie Hall is New York's new home for the performing arts, and for high society to rub elbows. On opening night, Russian composer Peter Tchaikovsky is the featured performer. Andrew Carnegie is treated like royalty. for the masterpiece he's built. But even in this setting, one man is a bigger presence. John D. Rockefeller is worth 3 times as much as Carnegie. But the cathedral Carnegie's built bearing his name takes their rivalry to another level.
Oh, thank you, Alicia.
The men will spend the next 10 years battling each other, sparring with Christmas gifts. Rockefeller sends Carnegie a cheap paper vest, a jab at his simple beginnings as a poor immigrant. In return, Carnegie sends Rockefeller, a devout Baptist who doesn't drink, a bottle of fine whiskey.
I've had my own little rivalries. I've had a rivalry with Donald Trump where I think it was back 2004. He was giving me a hard time about something. I said, you know what? I can write a bigger check than you and not even know what's missing, because I knew if I tweaked him, he would just respond, and he did, and I still like to tweak him just because it's fun.
I always say you have to have someone to aim for. Having an enemy, having an arch enemy, having a competitor is what ups the game for everybody.
While Rockefeller's oil empire steadily grows, steel becomes the product of choice for construction, and Carnegie's business takes off.
Mr. Connor!
Yes, sir.
How's the output?
She's running at full capacity, sir.
Good, carry on.
Carnegie's steel helps trigger the upward expansion of America's cities. But if he wants to challenge Rockefeller for the title of America's most powerful businessman, Carnegie must become even more profitable. But he'll pay a price for his ambition that will threaten to destroy everything he's worked so hard to build. The building of modern America is moving at lightning speed. Rail lines link east to west in a way never before thought possible. Oil is burning into the night, and steel is pushing cities to unimaginable heights. Driving this growth is a rivalry between 2 men, Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. One the undisputed king of oil, the other the unchallenged man of steel. And each is determined not to be outdone.
I benefit from high-class competition. I've been dogged by the competition, bested by the competition a couple times, but I've had my licks too, and we managed to hold our own.
To overtake Rockefeller as the richest man in the country, Carnegie can't just be a profitable steelmaker. He's got to be the most profitable. And for that, he needs an edge. He sets his sights on a struggling steel mill outside Pittsburgh, with plans to make it the largest in his steel-making empire. Carnegie invests millions, plant to turn out more structural steel than any other mill of its size. The Homestead Steel Works is a true modern marvel. But it can't operate without manpower.
One of the huge costs in a steel mill was labor. Carnegie knew that to stay profitable, he had to keep costs low. And the only way to keep costs low was to reduce wages and increase working hours.
To keep profits growing, Carnegie needs to continue cutting costs, including wages. But he's also determined to repair his image. Something he can't do in the midst of a labor dispute. So he turns to his chairman to do the dirty work. Henry Frick has never been concerned with what people think of his methods. He's about one thing: winning.
Carnegie didn't enjoy being a bad guy, being a villain. Frick didn't seem to mind.
I think the great leaders find partners who basically can exploit their weaknesses but not kind of dance on their strengths. Instead of hiring weaker versions of themselves, they hire people that are tremendous experts at what they're not.
Shows me the ledgers at the end, and that was the number I was expecting. And the only question that remains is how much we'll make next year.
With Frick firmly installed as chairman of Carnegie Steel, the boss heads to Scotland to give him room to operate.
The industrialists of that period of time are people who were out for themselves to make large fortunes as quickly as possible, even if it means pressing the envelope of what they have to do.
Frick begins squeezing all that he can get out of the workers at Homestead.
Frick decided that the only way to keep the plant running efficiently was with a 12-hour day, 6 days a week. What that meant was intolerable working conditions. No one could work 12 hours a day. If you're working in an office, you fall asleep at your desk. If you fall asleep in a steel mill, you end up dead.
You know, back when Carnegie was building his empire, obviously there were no labor laws. It was a free-for-all. And looking back, it seems horrific in a lot of different ways that workers were taken advantage of. But that was the game that was played back then.
The conditions are dangerous, and a small group of men bands together to raise their concerns.
Many of the workers at the steel mill felt that change in working conditions was a necessity. They were exhausted, and they wanted wages that were livable.
Unions are relatively new in America, and Frick isn't about to let them take root on his watch. But before acting, he seeks his boss's counsel.
Dear Andrew,
It may become necessary to fight it out this summer. Once got into, it will be fought to the finish.
Andrew Carnegie is well aware of Frick's aggressiveness. It's why he's put 3,000 miles between them. But Carnegie would rather leave some things unsaid.
Mr. Frick, no doubt you will get Homestead right. You can get anything right with your mild persistence.
There's a fine line. How do we protect the worker and at the same time continue to grease the wheels for capitalism? Sometimes those two are at cross purposes.
Frick takes Carnegie's words as a clear indication that it's time to go to war. He ramps up production, pushing his men harder than ever. In case of a strike, he'll have a stockpile of finished steel. The men are spending half their lives in the dreadful and dangerous conditions. And they're about to reach their breaking point. On the plant floor keep multiplying until one proves fatal. The death has the potential to unite the overwhelmed workforce. Frick knows what's coming.
Dear Andrew, I'm not prepared to believe we will win without a severe struggle. I regret to say it does not seem that there is any other course open for us. We would better make the fight and be through with it.
One thing we are all sure of. No contest will be entered into that will fail. We all approve of anything you do. We are with you to the end.
Knowing his boss has his back, Frick throws the first punch. He tells workers that Carnegie Steel won't negotiate, and conditions won't be improving.
Frick didn't understand that the steel workers believed that the mill belonged to them. They were the ones who made this deal. You know, it was their plant. And they weren't going to let this nasty little Frick take it from them.
Under the management of Mr. Frick, the Carnegie Company has wiped out organization in the Edgar Thompson Works, has wiped out organization in the Coke region, and are about to wipe out organization in Homestead. The time has come to send Mr. Frick a message. We do not accept the new pay scale. We do not accept the poor working conditions. We do not accept the long hours. And why can we do this? Because we are a union. And nobody will break us. All those in favor of striking, raise your hands.
Frick.
I'm giving you one more chance to call off this strike. I'll make sure any man who walks out never returns.
Say.
2,000 steelworkers barricade the front of the plant to prevent Frick from bringing in replacements. The fight has turned personal. But Frick isn't about to back down. He calls in reinforcements. For years, the Pinkerton detectives have been a private police force, best known for tracking down train robbers. They even stopped a plot to assassinate Abraham Lincoln, and were hired as the president's personal bodyguards. But now they've become an army for hire. With more men and guns than the U.S. military. If you have the money, they'll fight for you. And Frick has the money.
We'll enter by the river. Take them by force, if necessary. Remember your training. Follow orders. If they start shooting, we'll hit them back hard. There is no place for cowardice.
Pinkertons were mercenaries. They were from out of town. They had no ties to Pittsburgh, no ties to these workers. They were paid a wage to wield their clubs. The moment Frick made the decision to bring in Pinkertons, the die was cast, and the only way this strike was going to end was in tragedy. Fire!
2,000 men barricade themselves inside the Homestead plant. Causing steel production to grind to a halt. Carnegie Steel's chairman, Henry Frick, is in no mood to negotiate. Under pressure to quell the revolt, Frick brings in the Pinkertons, a mercenary army capable of outgunning the U.S. military. And their presence threatens to be the spark that lights the powder keg.
Frick thought to himself, when the workers see the Pinkertons, when they see that I'm not going to back down, they will back down. He thought a show of strength, a show of resolve was all that was needed. And that would be the end. He badly miscalculated.
Hold your ground. Stay calm. Stay calm.
We're here to take possession of this property.
I suggest you turn around and go home. You're not getting in.
If you do not stand aside, we will mow every one of you down.
The blood of innocent men will be on your hands.
Tear down this barricade!
bombing stops, 9 Carnegie Steel workers lie dead, while countless others sustain severe injuries. But they manage to hold their ground until Pennsylvania's governor sends in the state militia to finally restore order. Homestead is back in the hands of management. But Andrew Carnegie's problems are far from over. The public is outraged over the violence, blaming Chairman Henry Frick directly. Many are demanding justice for the dead.
Mr. Frick?
The vast and rapid growth of America is in full swing. Railroads now connect all 44 states. Oil is the most precious resource in the country. And steel is building our cities. But growth at this pace doesn't come without a cost. Andrew Carnegie is making more steel than anyone else in the world. To meet this level of production, his workers are on their feet 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The conditions spur them to barricade the plant, leading Carnegie's chairman, Henry Frick, to call in mercenaries. A bloody battle leaves 9 workers dead. Frick regains control of Homestead. But while the carnage is over, the public outcry is just beginning.
It was a massacre. Not just in terms of the number of injured and dead, but a massacre that any civilians should be killed, standing and defending their plant.
Overnight, Homestead becomes a searing symbol of life and death in industrial America.
Carnegie probably was appalled at what happened at Homestead. He prided himself on portraying his company as an enlightened, progressive company, which in many ways it was. What Homestead did was to catch a stain on that and on his reputation that he had a very hard time living down.
Carnegie extends his stay in Scotland, hoping the distance will allow the controversy to blow over. But American reporters track him down.
Excuse me, just a word.
No, gentlemen.
Mr. Carnegie,
Another time, gentlemen.
Just a word.
I'm not in the habit of giving interviews in the middle of public parks.
Mr. Carnegie,
Get out of my damned way!
While Carnegie's hounded by press abroad, at home, the public's outrage is escalating. A new group is emerging, calling themselves the Anarchists. known for their violent tactics, they are beginning to strike out whenever and wherever they see injustice. Now they've turned their attention to the massacre at Homestead, demanding payback. Their target is the chairman of Carnegie Steel. Henry Frick is determined to get steel production back up to speed. But his enemies have other plans.